It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
Hi, guys. Welcome to episode number 211 of the audio podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio. Just download it. Look for Rob Carson Show. Would love you to check that out and share with others on social media. For those of you who are watching on Liberty One TV, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. It is, of course, the 27th of November already. I hope you had a wonderful weekend with the family. Your Thanksgiving weekend, mine was actually very pleasant. My son insisted we actually have Thanksgiving dinner, which kind of surprised me because he just turned 18 and he wanted to have turkey and he wanted to have the whole deal. And I was glad to oblige. And today I also made turkey enchiladas, and they were incredible. All right? Anyway, welcome to the show. If you haven't become a member of Liberty One TV, will you do it? It's only 33 cents a day, $10 a month, $99 a year. All right? Get your discounts at the store, which is available. I've got some of my new designs going up on the Liberty One TV store, including some of these cool designs here that are now on tpublic.com/user/conservatives. They are politically incorrect. They are cool. Some of them are political, some not so much. There's one on there that says, I say Merry Christmas. Deal with it. Among other things, you can order that now. Get it put on a hoodie, get it put on a T-shirt, mug, whatever. I'd greatly appreciate it. Okay, over the weekend, it looks like the NFL and its TV partners are on track to lose $500 million. Ratings are plunging. People are not showing up at stadiums. Part of that has to do because there are so many sucky teams. It looks like the league and its TV partners, CBS, Fox Sports, ESPN, NBC, have already lost hundreds of millions of dollars this season. Ratings have dropped overall by 20%. But it got even worse. The TV partners are on track to lose $500 million this year alone. Did falling on that sword, was it worth it with regard to the national anthem? Because that's what it appears. Most of it appears to be is the national anthem. So that's apparently what's going on there. All right. It is Cyber Monday. In case you didn't know, it's Cyber Monday. That means that 41% of workers will spend an hour at work shopping. 23% plan to spend more time shopping today than they did in 2016. We will see. 43% of workers said their boss is totally fine with them shopping at work. Or at least they think so. 31% said they're not sure. 26% said it's definitely not okay. Apparently, Cyber Monday much more popular with younger people. Only 14% of people who plan to buy something today are 45 years of age or older. So only 14%. I buy stuff online all the time. In fact, I'll be honest with you. 2 years ago, everything we bought was online. We're going to do some brick and mortar shopping. We are going to do some brick and mortar shopping because I think it's important. Record amount of gun checks on Black Friday, 203,086 requests for instant gun checks. 10% increase from 2016 sets a new record for the most ever in one day. 185,000 requests last year. A lot of people getting guns this year for Christmas. I don't think it's a bad gift. Do you think it's a bad gift? I think it's a great gift, to be quite honest. You know what I want for Christmas this year? And I told my wife this, and she was then looking at my pots and pans, and I've got a couple of pots and pans that need to be replaced, and I like to cook. But I said, you know what I really would like is I would like to have a DNA test and find out where I'm from because I'm adopted. I'm adopted, and I think it would be very cool to find out. So I asked for that. We're going to do that, and we're going to find out. And I will reveal here where I'm from. Could be bars. Some of the deals today on Cyber Monday. Walmart, a 58-inch 4K television for $598. That's pretty great. My first high-def television was a 65-inch. I bought it like 15, 16 years ago. It was $4,500. Unbelievable. Amazon selling the Kindle Paperwhite, a backlit reading device, cost $90. Target, a PlayStation VR headset along with Gran Turismo sports racing game, about $299, savings of $100. At Dell, its gaming range of laptops are being sold at a discounted rate. Inspiron 5,000 laptop, $700. So whatever. A lot of electronics, obviously. I got a new microphone. I'm pretty excited about that. Let's get into the big news of the day, and that is what's going on in Capitol Hill with regard to sexual harassment. It started in Hollywood, and I told you weeks ago that this was going to cascade into Washington, D.C. because Hollywood Democrats And Democrats in Washington, D.C. are thick as thieves. Everybody in Hollywood knew about Harvey Weinstein, and I said everybody in the D.C. area, Democrats knew about Harvey Weinstein. It's come on, man. And then about a week after it started, Chuck Schumer and Chuck Grassley both called for sexual harassment training on Capitol Hill, and I said, okay, here it comes. Here it comes. Now we know that 264 people were paid $17 million out of taxpayer money in the last 15 years for sexual harassment claims. John Conyers, the longest-serving member of the House and icon, according to some, paid $27,000 to pay off a woman for sexual advances. A woman who used to work for him said he once showed up to a meeting in nothing but his underwear. Melanie Sloan told ABC News he walked into his office having been called up to brief him on something, and he was walking around in his underwear. I was pretty shaken aback to see my boss half-dressed. I turned on my heel and left. Although Sloan did not accuse Conyers of sexual harassment, she did accuse him of verbally abusing her while she worked for him. There was an occasion where he called me out of a meeting with a bunch of advocates and was screaming at me in the halls about not wearing stockings on a 95-degree Washington day while he wasn't wearing socks. Whatever. Sloan added that she felt there was nothing she could do to stop him. She was dismissed and told, I must be mentally unstable. Now, John Conyers has stepped down from his committee leadership position, ranking Democrat member of the House Judiciary Committee on Sunday, following the sexual harassment allegations. He, of course, is denying all of this. Says, I deny the allegations, many of which were raised by documents reportedly paid for by a bipartisan alt-right blogger. Ha! I very much look forward to vindicating myself and my family before the House Committee on Ethics. To be clear, I would like very much to remain as ranking member. There is still much work to be done on core concerns like securing civil rights, enacting meaningful criminal justice reform, and protecting access to the ballot box, all of which he's had 50 years to do, and a lot of this work should be done by now. Nancy Pelosi appeared with Chuck Todd on Meet the Press, and here is what she had to say about these allegations. He's an icon.
You said there's now a zero tolerance.
Yes.
John Conyers, what does that mean for him right now?
Let's say
in or out?
We are strengthened by due process. Mm-hmm. Just because someone is accused, and was it one accusation? Is it two? I think there has to be. John Conyers is an icon in our country. He's done a great deal to protect women, Violence Against Women Act, which...
Yeah, the Violence Against Women Act, while he's, sexually harassing them at work. Sure.
The right wing is now quoting me as praising him for his work on that, and he did great work on that. But the fact is, as John reviews his case, which he knows, which I don't, I believe he will do. I believe that he will. Excuse me, may I finish my sentence? Sure. That he will do the right thing.
And is the right thing what? Resign?
He will do the right thing in terms of what he knows about his situation.
She knows everything, guys. Give me a friggin' break. She knows everything. She should know everything. She was the Speaker of the House for 8 years. Or was it 4 years? I think it was 4 years.
He's entitled to due process, but women are entitled to due process as well.
But he got it. He took advantage of a situation where he had the rules of Congress, and I know you guys want to change these rules, but he got to hide his settlement. He got to his accusers had to go through all sorts of craziness. So why is he entitled to new due process?
Well,
in this case,
no,
the due process has already been processed, folks.
We are talking about what we have heard. I've asked the ethics committee to review that. Yeah. He has said he'd be open. It will cooperate.
Do you believe
with
the
any
accusers?
Review. Excuse me?
Do you believe John Conyers is accused?
I don't know who they are. Do you? They have not really come forward.
You know who they are. There's a creep list on Capitol Hill kept by women who serve there.
And that gets to you.
Everybody knows. This knows too.
Know if you believe the accusations.
That's for the ethics committee to review. But I believe he understands what is at stake here, and he will do the right thing.
Yeah, he will do the right thing. No, he won't, because he never has had to do the right thing. Because there is no punishment for doing the wrong thing in Washington, D.C. There is no punishment for doing the wrong thing, so there's no reason to do the right thing. And I know these people know the difference of right and wrong. They just put party first among everything else. Joe Scarborough talked about John Conyers this morning, and he's, of course, defending Conyers as an icon, as a lion. There are a lot of icons in the Democrat Party who did a lot of nasty things. John Kennedy, Ted Kennedy, Bill Clinton, but they're still iconic, aren't they? They're still iconic.
Being a United States congressman.
But he is an icon.
People need to step in. Now, as far as Nancy Pelosi getting hammered for being an icon, you tell me, what do you call this person before this happened? A guy who was a Korean War veteran.
Yeah, great.
A guy who, when he got into Congress, was one of only 4 black members in Congress.
Great.
A guy who single-handedly started the Congressional Black Caucus, a guy who was responsible for Rosa Parks laying in state in the United States Capitol. I believe it's the first black woman to ever be afforded that honor. He was in Selma.
I don't think he had to push too hard for that one.
On that bloody day so many years ago. I would call that an icon.
Okay. So he is iconic. Doesn't matter. There are a lot of people who served in the military who go on to do bad things. All right. I respected John McCain's service in the military. Not particularly pleased with him as a senator. Here's a little bit more from Scarborough.
If you're offended by Nancy Pelosi calling a man like that an icon, well, let me just say that you remind me an awful lot of the Bible thumpers I grew up with, and a lot like Jim and Tammy Faye Baker back in 1978 or 1979. Yes, he needs to be taken out of Congress. And yes, they need to rip the scab off of whatever they have in the House where they pay sexual harassment things from tax dollars. And they give the member representation, but not the accuser. And yes, he's obviously a danger to others. He's a danger to himself. He needs to be removed from Congress because he's not capable of being in Congress. And people who love him and
despite all of that, he's a danger to others. He's a danger to himself. He's still an icon.
People who care for him need to gather around him now and tell him it's time to go home.
It's time. It's time to go home, and it's time to collect the Social Security pittance that you expect the rest of us to start gathering when we're 65 years old. Get on your Medicaid, get on your Medicare, whatever. Go work at Walmart, wear that blue vest. 52 years in the House. Unbelievable. Iconic, huh? Al Franken said he is ashamed, but looking forward to returning to work tomorrow. This particularly sickens me because he's acting like he didn't know right from wrong. Here's a man who's in his 60s. He knows right from wrong. He knew all along what was right from wrong. He's a pervert. He's a pervert and a creep. He's a sick individual. He's not mentally unstable. He is not mentally ill. He's just a creep. And he got away with it for a very long time. And I don't know what sort of sick joy you get from copying a feel. And what kind of a person you have to be to not realize the emotional shrapnel you're leaving behind you when you do things like that. Here he is talking to the Star Tribune in Minneapolis last week.
This is what I'm doing. I'm taking responsibility. I apologize to the women who have felt disrespected and to everyone I've let down. That's a lot of people. I meet tens of thousands of people. I take photographs at the state fair with thousands of people. I'm someone who, hugs people. And I've learned from these stories that in some of these encounters, I've crossed a line.
Yeah, he knows the line he crossed. This isn't a matter of a hug. It is a grabbing of someone's buttocks without their permission. Anybody knows that is wrong. Anybody does. And if you don't know that's wrong, I don't know what the effing planet you were born on, but it is wrong. Anybody knows that. He knew it. He was in a position of power. He was able to get away with it. People around him enabled him to do it. Nobody said anything, and it went on for years and years and years. And the reason why he's saying this now is because hundreds of people are going to come forward and say the same thing about this creep.
For some women. And I know that any number is too many. And if they feel that this encounter has been, my embrace or something has been
Unbelievable.
inappropriate. I respect their feelings about that. I think women need to be heard.
Yeah. Well, they're being heard now, and you're denying what they're saying. You're denying what they're saying. This is a creep. He's admitting what he did, and he needs to go. 4 out of 5 people in Minnesota want him gone, and he should be gone. Cokie Roberts was on Meet the Press this weekend, and here's what she had to say. And again, everybody knew. Don't tell me that Nancy Pelosi didn't know about John Conyers. Here's Cokie Roberts talking about the elevator and about John Conyers and what female press members had to say about it.
I mean, we all talked about for years.
A little bit at a time.
Well, don't get in the elevator with him, and every female in the press corps knew that, right? Don't get in the elevator with him. Now people are saying it out loud, and I think that does make it.
That is a change.
Yeah. If everybody in the press corps knew that, why didn't Nancy Pelosi know about it? Okay. Why did Claire McCaskill talk about don't get on the elevator with certain male members of the House and Senate? Why did she say it? Who was she talking about? She just talking about some generic congressman out there? Or was she talking about John Conyers and his ilk? What it sounds like to me. Yet they're still circling the wagons. Jackie Spear, California, she came forward a couple weeks ago and testified about all the sexual harassment. She's stopping short of calling for him to resign. Says, I think that the allegations are very serious, and that's why the Ethics Committee needs to move more swiftly, not wait years, but very swiftly staff up if necessary to determine whether or not these allegations are accurate. If they're accurate, I do believe Congressman Conyers should step down. You know they're accurate. That's why the Ethics Committee needs to be brought in. We are presumed innocent until proven guilty. This is not a court of law. This is the court of public opinion. I do think they're very serious. John Conyers' office paid off someone. Okay, they are true. The allegations are true. Due process happened. Someone was paid off to be quiet, one of the many. And that's small potatoes compared to 264 people and $17 million. Former CBS producer claims she was told by her boss to have sex with a former coworker, a male coworker, in order to break the ice and essentially move up the company. Erin G. is 44. She's filed a sex discrimination lawsuit against CBS after working for the company 17 years. G alleges her boss at CBS Evening News, Robert Klug, told her in 2011 she should have sex with a video editor who had been difficult to work with to break the ice. She also claims that soon after Klug because executive director, G was told by her male supervisor that Klug had asked him whether he'd had sex with G or other women in the office, according to court documents. 2015, G complained to her supervisor about discrimination in the workplace. She claims she returned from a short vacation. Afterwards, she was told she was being removed from her associate director at CBS Evening News because of behavioral problems. G says she was never warned or reprimanded for her behavior at work in the 17 years she worked there. She raised a complaint. She loses her role. Says, all I wanted was the same opportunities that were being given to the men. In my nearly 20 years at CBS, I never saw a female director direct in the evening news. Well, G says she was demoted to CBS Evening Weekend News before she eventually quit the network. She says, my situation demonstrates why women are afraid to speak up. When they do, they're often punished for it. Yeah, it's true. G had filed an Equal Opportunity Commission complaint, but it was dismissed in March. She filed the lawsuit alleging sex discrimination in June and is suing for unspecified damages. Contrary to those allegations, McGee was treated in a non-discriminatory, non-retaliatory manner, according to a CBS spokesman. I don't know, in a company where everybody knew that Charlie Rose was playing grab ass, in a company where everybody knew what Charlie Rose was doing, pretty much. Do you believe this? Interesting piece from Christina Hoff Sommers about, she wrote a book called Who Stole Feminism. She's talking about the hashtag Me Too movement, where women are exposing sexual abusers in the workplace. And she says the same thing that I do. She lauds the social movement toward accountability, but offers yet another note of caution, because this could easily become a this could easily become a witch hunt with a lot of people who are not guilty of things going down. Workplace sexual harassment needs to be exterminated root and branch, but we also need to be careful not to conflate actual sexual harassment, not to mention sexual assault, for more innocent, if possibly offensive, behavior. Awkward flirtation, raunchy humor, even an unwanted advance may be breaches of decorum, but they are not necessarily harassment. We must be able to make distinctions between truly unacceptable behavior and lesser annoyances. That's true. That is true. And if you have, say, for instance, an awkward flirtation, you call the man out and you say, hey, not appropriate. And you get an understanding and you get one of these. You see what I'm saying? She said that 150 million men and women in the U.S. workforce, despite recent scandals, most appear to be working in relative harmony. They manage to hold meetings, plan product launches, attend conferences, travel, share stories, even go to office parties where libations are served mostly without incident. Occasionally, they may even fall in love, like I did. According to Stanford sociologists, between 16 and 19% of married people met their spouse at work. Summers points out a recent Newsweek Wall Street Journal poll that found 48% of American women reported being sexually harassed at work. But the wording of the survey was extremely broad in how they define sexual harassment. They asked if respondents had experienced unwelcome sexual advances at any point in their career. When asked in the last 12 months, were you sexually harassed by anybody at your job, the answer was 3.6%. So, I don't know. And like I said, there was a good deal of this kind of witch hunt after Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas. It doesn't happen. I don't believe it happens in every industry. I don't believe it happens in every industry. I believe in politics and in Hollywood particularly, because there are so many vying for so few jobs. The same goes with radio. Same goes with media, folks. Talk radio jobs in a given market, one job opens per year. I'm not saying I've been sexually harassed, but I know there are a lot of women who are. I know there are. When you're vying for jobs, when you work in a sexy, tantalizing industry like Hollywood or broadcasting, politics the same way. You move up, you start as an intern, you pay your dues. I know in state houses around the country. I've worked in Arizona. I've worked in Missouri, and the stories are rampant. Many state houses, they consider the new crop of interns fresh meat. Piegate. You hear about Piegate? Sarah Huckabee Sanders tweeted a photo of a pecan pie with the message, I don't cook much these days, but man, is this chocolate pecan pie for Thanksgiving at the family farm. It was pictured against a white background. Twitter users, many partisans on the left, also a journalist, April Ryan, Washington bureau chief for the American Urban Radio Networks, do not apply if you're white, by the way, said, show it to us on the table. The tweet led to a hashtag Piegate trending on Twitter for several hours. And indeed, on the surface, the pie matter seems trivial, but also speaks to the credibility of administration and a president who have faced repeated questions about truthfulness, according to longtime Republican strategist John Weaver. Now, this is serious, okay? This guy's he's serious. Says, at times we found with this administration is a president and even lower-level staffers who are willing to lie about issues big and small. It's now come to a point where some are even willing to question the legitimacy of a pie. Now, I had a chance to see the pie, and I do a lot of cooking. The crust is store-bought. You could tell. You could tell the crust is store-bought. It looks like a ready-made crust. And honestly, most people don't make their own crust. You go and you buy the Pillsbury crust because it's easier to do it that way. But the way the thing is baked, it's uneven. It's darker than it should be on the outside edges. And nobody who's putting that in an advertisement or something like that would put that picture there. Undoctored. You could tell she overbaked it just a little bit on the outside edges. Okay. So it is not a picture perfect doctored advertisement for pecan pie. This looks like a pie she baked. And it's really just stupid and petty to say otherwise. of all things. And then to say, well, they're known for stretching the truth, so the pie could be. Are you out of your nut? Are you out of your effing mind? AM Joy over the weekend. If you ever watch the show, it is just unfettered, partisan, no credibility whatsoever for any of the guests, no matter how outrageous the allegations. There was a guy on the show, Democrat pollster Fernand Amandi, was talking about the push for the Children's Health Insurance Program, the CHIP, by Republican members of Congress from Florida, apparently. They want to cut it back, or they want to at least maybe consider it, make sure it's viable and credible. But, of course, this is what he had to say about the CHIP program, and Republicans saying, hey, you know what, maybe we need to revamp this thing. Here's what he had. And I want you to listen to this carefully, because this is the kind of rhetoric that's happening on the Democrat Party side, and it's dangerous stuff.
It's an excellent question, Joel. Florida and many other states would be decimated, Florida's children, other children. And I think it leads to the question, is it any surprise that the party that is pro-pay for play, pro-Putin, and now...
No. This is Hillary Clinton, who got $145 million from Russians after the Uranium One deal was signed off on, and her husband got $500,000 for a speech in Moscow.
Now with Roy Moore, pro-pedophilia.
Okay, so now we're pro-pedophilia. I said leave it up to the people of Alabama. So the GOP has said no to endorsing Roy Moore. The National Party has said no to endorsing him. Donald Trump says he will not campaign for him. So we're not pro-pedophilia, you a-hole.
The fact that they're anti-children, is that any surprise? I don't think it is. And I think, Joy,
we're anti-children. If you anytime you disagree with the Democrat policy, anytime you say that we want some restrictions on abortion, anytime we say that Hobby Lobby shouldn't have to pay for your birth control, we are anti-woman. When we don't agree with the CHIP program, which is probably rife with abuse and overcharging, like most government programs, we're suddenly anti-children. I tell you, I'd say Republicans are a little more anti-children. We like to see them live and be born.
This is emblematic, this CHIP scenario where you mentioned 9 million children without health insurance. I think if you take a step back, one has to ask themselves, and I think the American people should ask themselves.
I thought everybody had health care. I thought everybody had health care, you doofus. I thought Obamacare was going to take care of everything.
The broader question, what has the Republican Party in the last 10 years done to help the American people? What have they done? This is not a political party.
What have you done? What has the Democrat Party done? You've got, during Barack Obama's administration, you had a GDP growth rate less than 2%. You've had more people on food stamps, more people in poverty. Are you kidding me? Public schools in inner cities that are still crumbling.
This is a domestic terror group. And what I think the American people...
The Republican Party is a domestic terror group. The Republican Party is a domestic terror group. That is absurd on the face of it. Even Republicans wouldn't say the Democrat Party is a domestic terror group. That is inflammatory. That is bullcrap.
People should consider when they ask themselves that question, with a party that has done nothing to help the American people, is to vote.
Well, I don't know. I'm seeing some pretty great things happening with the economy, my friend. And jobs, 1.5 million jobs created since Donald Trump put his hand on the Bible and swore his oath of office.
To help the American people is to vote them out and consider possibly afterwards locking them up, Joy.
Okay, so he is saying that Republicans should be voted out and then put in jail. Is it any wonder that a partisan Democrat Bernie Sanders supporter would shoot up a baseball field with Republicans on it? Is it any wonder that Rand Paul was tackled off of his lawnmower at his home by a socialist in his neighborhood? The average person takes 20,000 breaths a day since November the 3rd. My husband, Rand Paul, has not taken a single one without pain. This according to his wife. He's not had a single night's sleep uninterrupted by long periods of difficult breathing or excruciating coughing. As his wife, I have been distraught over seeing him suffer like this. There have been several nights where I had my hand on my phone ready to call 911 when his breathing became so labored it was terrifying. Despite this, he refused to give in to the pain and was determined to fly back to Washington last week to do his job. even though he had a 102-degree temperature. He was diagnosed with pneumonia in his damaged lung. It's incredibly hurtful that some news outlets have victimized Rand a second time as he struggles to recover, delighting in hateful headlines like "not a perfect neighbor" and concocting theories about an ongoing dispute based on nothing more than the speculation from an attention-seeking person with no knowledge of anything to do with us. The fact is, neither Rand nor I have spoken to the attacker in 10 years, other than casual away from the car. Nobody in our family has, nor have we communicated with anyone in his family. With Rand's travel to D.C. in the last 7 years, he has rarely seen this man at all. The only dispute existed solely in the attacker's troubled mind until only a beautiful autumn day, he ran down our hill on our property and slammed his body into Rand's lower back as he stood facing away, wearing noise-canceling headphones to protect his ears from the lawnmower. This was not a scuffle or a fight or an altercation. As many in the media falsely describe it, it was a deliberate blindside attack. The impact left Rand with 6 broken ribs, 3 displaced pleural effusion, and now pneumonia. This has been a terrible experience made worse by the media's gleeful attempts to blame Rand for it, including ridiculing him for everything from mowing his own lawn to composting. Unbelievable. It was a political attack. It may not have been an assassination, but it was a political attack. There's no doubt about it, and it's not a joke. And if this were anyone else, an attack on a senator like this would be headline news everywhere. This story has me troubled. 180 women are now accusing Massage Envy of sexual assault. BuzzFeed, who, by the way, they're doing a great job, they uncovered the story about John Conyers. 180 people have filed sexual assaults. They have 1,000 locations across the country. Several victims say that when they reported the sexual assault to management, nothing happened and police were never notified. Here's a story. They are out of Phoenix, by the way. Here's a story from ABC 15 in Phoenix about this.
Well, according to BuzzFeed, Dan, 180 women have reported sexual assaults. None of the incidents happened here at headquarters, but at one of their more than 1,000 locations across the country. Candace Martellero is one of the many who's coming forward. 5 years later, she says she still can't shake what happened and how it was handled. She got a complimentary massage at a chain because she actually worked at that location as a receptionist. Her masseuse, though, she says sexually assaulted her. And when she reported it to her manager, he still kept his job.
He pulled the blanket back down to my ankles, pulled my underwear down to my knees, could see everything I had, and then massaged my butt with his hands. Some sort of serious audit needs to happen of the company, and their protocol needs to be immensely changed.
Now, Massage Envy released this statement. The article references 180 reported incidents. These occurred over a span of 15 years and 125 million massages. But we believe that every one of these incidents should be taken seriously, and we will look into them and also learn how we can strengthen our practices. Now, we know several of the victims did file lawsuits against the company. A lot of those have been settled outside of court. Well, according to...
Okay, so, and I read some of the reports from women who claim, and this is brutal stuff. This is inserting fingers. This is, I can't give you all of the details. It is sordid. Well, there was one woman who said it was her 7th session with James Dieter in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Apparently, she trusted him, and she closed her eyes, relaxed as he worked her muscles. Then, without warning, ground his erect penis against her body. He groped her breasts. He put his fingers in and out of her vagina. This is a very intimate setting. Even when I get a massage, and I don't think I'm going to be taken advantage of. I usually get a sports massage, and yeah, it's usually a woman. But of course, it's different. It's different with men and women. But I got to tell you, it wouldn't surprise me that the massage industry, because of the intimacy of it, it's a very personal thing. It involves a stranger laying their hands on you. I mean, honestly, I'd make sure to have a massage buddy with me. I would, absolutely. I would make sure to have a massage buddy with me. If not even asking if you could record the session, just have your smartphone going. I don't know, man. I don't know. Controversial tweet on Friday by a nurse at one of the largest hospital systems in the nation has sparked an internal investigation. Taisha Baker at Indiana University Health. She has been removed from her job. And this doesn't surprise me because this sort of racism is rampant. And it is being espoused on campuses. It is being espoused by groups like Black Lives Matter. It is okay to be radically, violently racist against white people. It is right now. She apparently tweeted, "Every white woman raises a detriment to society when they raise a son. Someone with the highest propensity to be a terrorist, rapist, racist, killer, and domestic violence all-star. Historically, every son you had should be sacrificed to the wolves, bitch." The hospital said IU is aware of several troubling posts on social media which appear to be from a recently hired IU health employee. Our HR department continues to investigate the situation and the authenticity of the post during the investigation. That employee will have no access to patient care and shouldn't, because she should never work in a hospital setting again. Should never work in a hospital setting again. She is a radical racist. But you ever watch Morning Joy? She has radical racists on and race baiters on every week. It's the new normal. Jesse Daniels, University of New York sociology professor, went on a tweet storm last week, said that the white nuclear family promotes racism, prompting a backlash on social media. She described as an expert on the internet manifestations of racism on her City University of New York page. She said the white nuclear family is one of the most powerful forces supporting white supremacy, adding that the families reproducing white children are part of the problem as they facilitate white supremacy in the country. It's just unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. My children, before they were born, they were victims of this crap. I mean, if you're a white person who says they're engaged in dismantling white supremacy, but you're forming a white family and reproducing white children that you want the best for, how is that helping and not being a part of the problem? So having children as a white family is part of the problem. This is eugenics. This is the start of eugenics, folks. She reportedly ended her argument suggesting that white people should confront their racism and stop perpetuating inequality by leaving their homes for their children. Until white people are ready to confront their own family's racism and participation in systematic white supremacy, it's not getting dismantled. Beyond just calling out interpersonal racism, white people who want to be engaged in the work need to ask themselves about housing wealth. White people, do you own your home? I don't. When you die, where's wealth in that house going? If it's to your children, you're reproducing inequality. So you should, and this is part of this new narrative, you should give your home, you should will everything to a black person. That's a new narrative that's happening on campuses everywhere. A bit of good news. Oh God, I hope this is true. I really do. Potential cure for cancer could be ready to test on patients as early as next year. British scientists are developing an immune therapy based on blood cells from patients who have made miracle recoveries from the disease. They believe they have found a way to extract the cancer-killing immune cells from donor blood, then multiply them by the millions. This is really big. Alex Blythe, chief executive of Lift Biosciences, says we're not talking about simply managing cancer. We're looking at a curative therapy that you would receive once a week over the course of 5 or 6 weeks. They're preparing early trials on patients. They're focused on pancreatic cancer. Wouldn't that be something else? Wouldn't it be great? You know, we keep hearing that this cure, we're working on this, we're making advances. We never get to the point where it's cured. You know, we never get to the point where it's cured. Oh, wouldn't you love to see Alzheimer's go, bye-bye? Wouldn't it be great if heart disease went bye-bye? Cancer, obviously, number one on the list. Autism. Oh, if we could just figure out what is going on with autistic kids and just fix it. Just understand and fix it. Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great? I'm going to wrap up the podcast on that note. I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank Dot's Homestyle Pretzels. If you haven't had Dot's Homestyle Pretzels, get them. I'm going to tell you, I didn't think that pretzels could be reinvented and reborn. These are the best pretzels I've ever had in my life. They are wonderful. They have the little bags. They have the medium size. They have the big bags. Find a retail near you because you will not regret it. They're just great. They are just great. Normally, I take a pretzel, I put mustard on it and all this crap. You don't need anything with the Dots Home Style pretzel. Small company started in South Dakota. They have a new packaging plant in Kansas, and they're opening one in Phoenix, Arizona. So it's growing. Also, check out the swag line. Will you check out the swag line right there? tpublic.com/conservatees. Okay. tpublic.com/user/conservatees. Order just in time for Christmas. All of these items are available. All of these logos and designs are available on T-shirts, onesies, hoodies, sweatshirts, all sorts of stuff just in time for Christmas. I think you can love it. And also, thanks to Liberty One TV for having me on their glorious network. Please become a member and watch every night, okay? I'm on 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock Central. I would greatly appreciate it. And advertisers are coming. If you are interested in advertising, write me personally, carsonontheradio@gmail.com, carsonontheradio@gmail.com. In the meantime, God bless you guys. December right ahead, the holiday season. We're into it. God bless it. I love it. And we'll talk again soon. Episode number 212 of the podcast. And me back on Tuesday coming up. Take care of yourselves, guys. See you.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook @Carson Show, on Twitter @Rob Carson, and on Instagram. I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.